request for a commitment of local funding to ensure the construction of the new 1.3 million square foot state-of-the-art South Niagara Hospital is completed on time and becomes a reality for Niagara residents. And then finally, we'll be providing you with an update on the opportunities of the future of the Welland Hospital site. So you play a very important role in this, and your decisions will have an impact on the future of healthcare in Niagara. So we can go to the next slide, please. So it's essential to recognize that hospitals are just one piece of what is a very complex healthcare system puzzle. Similar to hospitals across the province, Niagara Health is facing a significant system pressure in many areas. Things like human resources, physician shortages, financial challenges across the system, and all of this while people are continuing to age in our region, and we have a tremendous amount of population growth here. Our healthcare system is highly interconnected. The various components must work together to provide comprehensive care for the region. In order to deliver patient-centered, high-quality care, all the pieces need to function together seamlessly. When one part of the system faces challenges, it has a ripple effect across the entire system. Our outdated infrastructure limits our physical capacity, as you've probably experienced when you've been at our sites. As well, most of the facilities are beyond the point of renovation or redevelopment to meet our future hospital needs. And it makes it more difficult to ensure the highest level of infection control. Are we good with the slides? We're not. Okay. Our patients have much more complex issues requiring our teams to perform more tests and spend more time on multiple diagnoses, all leading to higher wait times, so some poorer access. But with these challenges comes quite an opportunity for Niagara. So if you could go to the next slide. So hospital services, it's really important to note, do not end at municipal borders. And this is really important for Niagara with 12 municipalities within a region that has a single hospital system other than a very small site closest to Hamilton. We must operate as a regionally connected system and ensure that all Niagara residents receive high quality care in the right place at the right time, no matter where they live in the region. In order to provide the best quality care for patients, we must focus our limited resources and build seamless hospital care across Niagara with 3 cornerstone hospitals: the Marotta Family Site, the South Niagara Site, and the Welland Site. The 3-site hospital system will bring together our staffing and our specialized care. It will replace outdated and outgrown infrastructure. It will increase our capacity, and it will provide access to more specialized care for our residents. Niagara Health is shifting to a regional system, meaning care will no longer be based solely on proximity to a single hospital site. Instead, specialized care will be distributed across the 3 sites. Pelham residents will absolutely be utilizing the South Niagara Hospital. When the new hospital opens, there are then additional opportunities to increase access and services and quality of care at the Welland site, which is also an extremely important concept for us to talk about today. If you could go to the next. So we're really excited about the future of the Welland site. But the success and completion of the South Niagara Hospital is necessary for us to continue forward. Our vision of hospital services in Niagara does not work without Welland. It is a cornerstone of our model, and we cannot delay a redevelopment and renovation process there. We've already had some great and substantial feedback from the community and from our partners, and we and they share a vision that the Welland Hospital site should be a campus of care, going beyond the traditional model of acute care and becoming a hub of other community-based healthcare services and becoming a support for our aging and a growing population. But in the interim, we are working to ensure that the Welland Hospital is prepared for the transition once the South Niagara site is complete. And this includes securing provincial funding for renovation to accommodate an increase in complex care beds at the Welland site, and renovation to house the Residential Addictions Treatment Program, which is a provincial program for residents of Niagara and beyond, moving that from the Port Colborne site to the Welland site. So to get more specific, about the plan and for local share, I'm going to turn it over to Harpreet.
Thank you. Thank you. Today, we're here to respectfully ask for your support for the South Niagara Hospital through our local share ask. We recognize that you have numerous funding priorities in front of Council, and we understand that this is an additional pressure and this request is not easy for you. Local share is a portion of the funding which the hospital is responsible for when constructing a new facility. The Ministry of Health's capital cost sharing policy for hospital projects does not cover 100% of all costs incurred. Hospitals are responsible for 10% of eligible construction costs, which must include all costs associated with equipment such as MRIs, CT scanners, and stretchers, and furniture such as seating and waiting rooms. Local share contributions are about more than money. They are a commitment of support. When municipalities show leadership and invest in their hospitals, they send a strong message to the province that they believe in better health care for all residents. This model is provided by the province for all hospital projects and is not unique to Niagara. In fact, to receive approval for the South Niagara Hospital project, we were required to demonstrate support from select Niagara municipalities at that time to show a commitment for support for this project from the community, municipalities, and the foundation. Next slide, please. Niagara Health's local share commitment is $230 million. This number is based on early cost estimates from 2017, and this local share number is the one we've maintained despite increases in construction costs. In February 2023, Niagara Health, with Infrastructure Ontario, announced that Ellis Don Infrastructure Healthcare had been awarded a fixed-price contract of $3.6 billion to design, build, finance, and maintain the hospital. So even though the total cost of the hospital rose dramatically, we're keeping the local share ask the same, and we'll take on the additional costs to avoid passing that increase on to the municipalities. Next slide, please. For the town of Pelham, Niagara Health is requesting a contribution of $5.8 million. We are applying a consistent per capita contribution rate of $340.63 across all municipalities. While we're asking for a local share commitment to be secured before construction completion in 2028, municipalities have the option to pay over several years. There's flexibility, and we will work with each municipality to arrange either upfront payments or a customized payment plan. Next slide, please. The local share request to municipalities for the South Niagara project will be consistent. We know that costs overall have increased, and we recognize that with the current economic climate and tariffs, the challenges facing communities are significant. But we remain committed to those numbers and will do the hard work of ensuring appropriate funding for hospital services. We are and will continue to do our part. The Niagara Health Foundation is working extremely hard to raise funds through an ongoing fundraising campaign and has already raised more than $60 million. But to ensure we're able to open the new hospital in 2028, we need your support and commitment. Transforming our hospital system into one that provides the best modern care for all residents is a team effort. Thank you. And I'll pass it back to Lynn. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Harpreet. So as Harpreet just mentioned, we understand that this is a significant request for the town of Pelham, but the success of this project is too important to put at risk. Municipal funding demonstrates to the province that healthcare is a priority for residents of Niagara, and it's important for us to demonstrate this now for the south site as we go out to request another renovation and redevelopment for Welland. An investment in the South Niagara Hospital ensures there are no delays in construction. We really believe that, and as does the province, that healthcare is a shared responsibility, and this investment will ensure state-of-the-art care for Pelham residents, and then we hope it also shows the demonstration that we need to get our funding for Welland. And if you could go to the next slide, your commitment to providing local share for the new South Niagara Hospital will help us transform and improve healthcare for your community and for the entire region. And I can't stress this enough. If you can see the hospital going up, it's now at 7 floors. We have mock-ups and real rooms available in Welland to see, and it's going to be quite an incredible place. It's going to move us closer to developing the Welland site as a cornerstone part of this 3-site model. So we really want to thank you for your consideration for the new hospital that will serve patients for generations to come. So I want to thank you again, Mayor and councillors, and we're happy to take any questions you have.
Okay, again, thank you for the presentation, and I want to apologize for the time that took you to get to the podium today. Just
Okay.
a busy day.
No problem at all.
Okay, thank you. Again, a building of this size, a project of this size, very exciting for all of Niagara, that's for sure. Well needed in the southern part of the peninsula region. So, yeah, it's great. And like you said, I had reason to go on the Queen Elizabeth, I guess, on the weekend. And yeah, you can starting to see it for sure. It standing up pretty, looking pretty good as it gets higher up there. So, and when is the, if everything goes according to plan, when is the opening date, or is that finalized? Must be.
Well, the plan is for us to receive the property from so completion in 2028. We will then be starting on-site training of our teams. You can imagine operational readiness for a move of this size, moving 3 hospitals into 1, and some extraneous things as well, is a monumental task from an operational planning perspective. So we are already started operational planning to get the teams used to how they will work in the new building. Once we get the keys in 2028, there will be some time for us to make sure our teams are, well functioning within the hospital site, and then we will start integrating the patients. So as you know, Fort Erie, Port Coburn, some things from Welland, and then additional beds. There's also additional capacity. So we'll also be increasing the size of our teams before we get there. So we plan to be, open for patients in 2028, and that date is, we don't have the exact date yet.
Oh, and then the number of beds in that facility?
469.
Oh, okay, there we go. Great, thank you. I turn to council. Any questions or comments on the presentation made today? Councillor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you for your presentation today. So just a couple questions through you, Mr. Mayor. So there's a shortfall of already $1.3 billion, and you said that how is that getting covered? You said we're not asking more from the local share. You kept it at the 23 million. So where is those extra funds coming from? You said we'll absorb those. Yeah. Who's we?
We, well, we being Niagara Health and the foundation, we are also working with government on how to bridge that gap. We are not the only hospital that's in the middle of construction, plus long-term care facilities. There are all kinds of capital projects that were in and around the same time as that big bump in cost. So government realizes that some of the local share is going to be a problem. So we're looking at extending those payments over a longer period of time so that it gives us more time to raise the funds and have our foundation work with us, et cetera. And the conversations with government are live, so I would say. We just didn't want to come in and start asking municipalities for an even bigger amount. There was municipalities who had already put forward an amount, so to start those conversations over would have been really hard. So we've decided not to do so, and so we don't have a full plan for exactly how we're going to fund it, but the government is very clear and knows that we have that gap. Anything to add on that, Harpreet?
I think you've covered it.
Yeah.
So just one question. So I was fortunate enough to go through the Welland mock-up last week, and it is very impressive if any of you do get a chance to go see it. It is certainly state-of-the-art. It's all, in my personal opinion, it's almost excessive in some areas that it's, I know it has to be state-of-the-art, but like computers in every room, lifts in every room. And I understand the accessibility and the cleanliness and that sort of thing, and it is very key and important. But I think, at some point you have to say, okay, what are wants and what are needs? So I hope that as you're moving through the project, you really keep the needs versus the wants in place. And yes, we do want it state-of-the-art because you want it to move forward for the next 30, 40, 50 years even. So you need it to be appropriately designed and executed. So your staff was wonderful, by the way, so we really appreciated the little tour there. So my other question is this will be the only time you would come to our municipality and for an ask for a taxpayer amount of money?
So this will be the only time we come to ask for the South Niagara site.
Right.
We do not know yet what the Welland project will be. We are talking to the government about a small renovation, which is just to cope with the fact that we are needing different use of that space in 2028 once the South Niagara site opens. But we are also talking to government about a bigger expansion of Welland, more of a redevelopment instead of a renovation, to actually bring that hospital up to a standard that I think everyone would agree we need. If we just do the small coping project, we are unfortunately not going to be able to have some of those things like private bathrooms for patients, which is infection prevention and control issues, and making sure that the infrastructure is stable. You may have heard that we lost our operating rooms last week in Welland because of a huge flood. I mean, that's infrastructure problem. So we do think Welland needs a bigger project. If that is approved by government, it will be sort of after 2028 and it opens. And if it is big, they'll expect us to have 10% again. So we may be coming back for that, depending on how the Welland project gets funded by the provincial government and what local share might be on the size of that.
Okay, thank you. And then just one final question, maybe over to our treasurer, through you, Mr. Mayor. So as it's asking for $341 per capita, which is, I believe, per person, not per household. So I'm just wondering, how would you calculate that in terms of per household? If you added that to the tax levy as a 5-year, like, would the best way to be it would be to add it onto the tax levy over 5 years, 10 years? What would be reasonable so as to not gouge the taxpayer too deeply? Because we have also, as you say, many, many pressures from that.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, this would be something that we would have to bring back to council to review the different alternatives. So different options. So this, I would assume, would be a report back to council, and we would look at those different options and scenarios.
Councillor?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, and I imagine that I was talking to the CEO prior to the presentation, that we will be asking for a staff report options to see how best to handle the ask. Any other questions on the presentation itself? Councillor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your excellent presentation. I take part in the and represent the municipality at the gala events that they have in Niagara Falls. They're awesome events. At those events, last term, they raised over $350,000. The surprise I have with regards to the report, and I've been corresponding back and forth with Josh Upper from the Niagara Health System. I'm not sure how he's related to you and how his correspondence is here.
He's right there.
Josh. But I'm surprised at those gala events, they give a presentation, we see the models and those kind of things. And what they say to us is the province is covering all the costs with regards to the building, and we're responsible for providing the fixtures and all the stuff inside the hospital. And yet what I'm seeing, some of the information I've just received, is there's this question with regards to design, finance, and maintenance that seems to be new in the discussion, in my view. Like at the gala events and all the presentations we received, those kind of things are never talked about there. So to me, like the design and the finance is all part of the building construction.
Yeah.
Maintenance is another issue that's out there somewhere, but I'm not sure where. So
Yeah.
it seems as though the formula has changed, or the communications are changed, or what exactly is being presented. And I'm not sure where all this fundraising goes, because I know at the gala events, basically they say, let's build hospital rooms, and that's $25,000 a room.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. And we built, the last meeting, we raised built over 14, supplied over 14 hospital rooms. Well, for the last 3 years, I bet you that just the gala event, has raised probably $1 million. And
and
I'm
more.
not sure where that all shows up in all the funding
Yeah,
and how that's
yeah.
all arranged.
So I mentioned at the beginning that we have a foundation, so we have a separate corporation that raises funds for the hospital. So when they're doing events that are specifically for the South Niagara Hospital, all of those funds, including all the gala funds, go to the South Niagara Hospital through the foundation to us. So all of the gala funds, that's where they go. So there's no worries there. I can assure you that because we are very close contact with the foundation. We're on their board, they're on our board, so very, very transparent. I will say that when we talk about the local share and we talk about how hospitals are constructed in Ontario, we usually say, and I speak at every gala, so what we do say is the province pays for 90% of the building construction. We have to raise 10% of construction plus 100% of all of the equipment and furniture that goes into the building. That's how local share is calculated. Now, the models that Ontario uses, and this is Government of Ontario and Infrastructure Ontario, the model they use to build hospitals anyway, and I'm probably other institutions that I might not be aware of, is this model where not only do you procure for the building to be constructed, you procure for 30 years of maintenance of the building, management of the infrastructure, not the operations. Like we own the building, we're in there, but there's a 30-year agreement, and that's how all hospitals are pretty much built now in Ontario. So we don't really talk about the nuances of that 90%, but the government is covering 90% of the construction and 30-year bucket. So it's 90% of the hospital writ large for 30 years, but they don't fund any of the equipment inside. So that's sort of how local share is, and it's complicated, as are all things related to government capital infrastructure and how they do their funding. But I can assure you that when we're raising money through the foundation, Harpreet has just said in her presentation, the foundation has already raised over $60 million for the South site. So all of those gala funds and some of our very, very generous donors who have come forward with very large gifts are the reason that we're so far ahead in raising that money.
Thank you.
Council? Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments to the presenters? Not seeing any. Ladies, group, thank you for coming to
Thank you very
Pelham
much.
today. Continued good luck on the project. Thank you. I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that Council receive the funding request from Niagara Health for the South Niagara Hospital for information, and that Council direct staff to explore the feasibility of the request, including potential financing options, and report back to Council. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions? Not seeing any. I'll call a vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item 7, adoption of council minutes. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Kerr, seconded by Councillor Bernarski. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. CO9-2025, regular meeting of council, May 21st, 2025. To you, Mr. Mayor, for any errors or omissions.
Okay, thank you. After viewing the minutes, is there any errors or omissions that any council member would like to point out? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk. I will call the vote. All those in favor? Excuse me. I see none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item 8. If there's any item on the consent agenda to which council would like to lift, now would be the time.
Okay. After viewing the agenda items, is there any one particular item that any councillor would like to lift and further discuss? Not seeing any. To the clerk.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. Proceeding with by category, we have minutes and recommendation sheet from the public meeting for discussion.
Yep. Anyone there? Not seeing any? Oh, Councillor Hildebrand?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, with regards to the 9.6.2 of the Niagara region, the local area municipalities be requested to consider amending or creating public use exemption provisions with local official plans and comprehensive zoning bylaws to establish Niagara regional housing, affordable housing units, as well as nonprofits and cooperative housing providers. and it goes on with service agreements and all this kind of stuff. To the director, how are we going to accomplish this as this is a Niagara Region directive?
To the Director of Planning, Ms. Doosley.
Through the mayor to council, very good question. So we looked at this as part of the council agenda, and items 4 and 5 we've already done. Item 6, we believe we can include in the upcoming housekeeping zoning bylaw or our new consolidated zoning bylaw. So we're confident that we can complete these items.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hildebrand. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. Turn to the clerk. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sure, yes, we're jumping ahead, so yes, we can look at that as a whole.
Let's go back. Excuse me. Thank you. So if we could just go back to 9.4.1 with regards to the asking for Schedule C parking prohibited in specified places with signs. So just, after reading that, it does make sense that the two-way traffic flow for emergency vehicles and large vehicles are restricted, not only on these two streets, but on several streets in our municipality. And just wondering if we should be looking maybe for a staff report with regards to all subdivisions and all side roads having parking on only one side. I know when I go down through the new subdivisions, the parking on both sides is a big issue, and cars are parking on the road rather than using their driveways for some reason. Even my own street, there's 4 cars that consistently park and close to a fire hydrant near, like on Bacon Lane, all night long, all day long. There they sit, and and their driveways are empty. They have room to squeeze their car onto their driveway if they used a little bit of measurement. Anyways, getting sidetracked there. So should those narrower new roads, which seem to be quite narrow, should they be also no parking on one side as well moving forward? So just thinking maybe we should expand this. I'm all in favor of this right now, but maybe looking for a staff report to see about the justification of having all streets no parking on one side.
I will turn to the CAO.
Councillor Niznik brings up a very valid and real concern. This item is in front of council now because it's quite specific, dealing with an immediate challenge in a defined area. But I would like to remind council that in the strategic plan update we did now 3 months ago, a comprehensive new streets bylaw was one of the assigned tasks. And it's such a large undertaking, and so that would be a component of it, but that is such a large undertaking that I don't see a universe where we can actually fulfill it this calendar year. Like, I expect that to be a 2026 accomplishment, not a 2025 accomplishment. It requires a bunch of engineering, it requires a bunch of law, it requires a bunch of bylaw. Like, there's a lot of analysis that goes into that, and it hasn't been done here in sorry, I don't recall, but like it's decades plural. I think it's closer to 30 years than it is 20 since we've taken a kick at that. So, and obviously we've had a lot of growth. So that is going to be a subcomponent of a much larger undertaking that we are engaging in, albeit slowly at this point in time, but we hope to deliver to you by next calendar year. Certainly in the interim, if we end up with any flashpoints, we'll try to deal with them in one-offs as we have here. So that it's an extremely valid and real concern, but you have already kind of tasked us with doing that, and we are working on it.
Brilliant as always. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions on that group of agenda items or consent items? I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's no further comments on staff reports. That brings us to information correspondence from the region, which Councillor Hildebrand has kicked us off with.
Yes. Okay. Any other councillor, any comments on the information reports by the region? Not seeing any. Madam Clerk?
Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion, we therefore have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Rink. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the June 4th, 2025 council agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries.
Excellent, thank you. That brings us to staff reports requiring action, our first being 11.2.1, proposed revisions to animals in town facilities policy. And I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Rink. Be it resolved that Council receive report 2025-0136 for information, that Council approves proposed revised policy number S100-17, animals in town facilities. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, thank you. A great report brought forward by our town legal department. Apparently, we forgot about a certain show coming to town. Any comments or questions on this revision, I believe? Not seeing any. I'll call a vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion passes. To the clerk.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That then brings us to 11.2.2, 2026 budget timeline. And I have a motion put forth by Councillor Bernarski, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert. Be it resolved that Council receive report 2025-0134 for information, and that Council reduce the time period as set out in subsection 7.3 of OREG 23022, being the Council amendment period from 30 days to 20 days. And that Council reduce the time period as set out in subsection 710 of OREG 53022 to provide the head of Council's veto of an amendment to a proposed budget item from 15 days to 8 days, and that Council suspend the rules of procedure to allow unlimited delegations from the public as they pertain to the budget process on October 1st, 2025. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the proposed bylaw or timeline on the budget? Changed mostly due to strong mayor's powers and what have you. But it's pretty straightforward in the report. Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, just one question was the very last point, that suspending rules of procedure to allow unlimited delegations from the public. Is that is that opening a Pandora's box, I guess, is a question I've got.
To the Director of
Through you,
Finance?
Mr. Mayor, this is the public open house for the budget. So this is what we always do every year, that people can come and put their requests in.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Not seeing any. I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion passes. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 11.2.3, Library Rehabilitation Project and Funding Strategy. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Kerr, seconded by Councillor Niznik. Be it resolved that Council receive report 2025-130 for information, and that Council approve the Library Rehabilitation Project at an estimated value of $4 million, and that Council approve the Library Rehabilitation Project to be completed in 2 phases at an estimated cost of $1,500,000 for Phase 1 and $2,500,000 for Phase 2, and that Council approve funding for the project in the amount of $737,000 to be funded by the Debt Repayment Reserve and $763,000 to be funded from the Development Charge Obligatory Reserve. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions on this library rehabilitation project? Councillor Wink?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a great compromise, and in doing so, that compromise is reduce the funding of the project by over $1 million, which is curious. Had we not done this, it would have been a much higher cost to the town. So I appreciate everything that the library staff and the board has gone to go through this process. The one question I do have is, last year, or the year before, there was a $200,000 grant for new shelving. Is there a timeline on that grant? And I believe that, excuse me, that shelving is not until the second phase of this. So I'm just worried that we're going to lose that money.
Go to the Director
So
of
through you,
Finance.
Mr. Mayor, the shelves have been ordered, and in discussion with the library, Amy and Julie, they are going to be putting the shelves up this year. The shelves are accessible, they're on wheels, and so they're going to be doing that before, the deadline is, I think, October 1st. We have 12 months for the shelves, so we're definitely going to meet the timelines.
Okay. Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for bringing that forward. Any other questions on this project report? Councillor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to our treasurer. So those funds are available in those two reserves and the development charge revenue. Those are available or will be.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, they are right now with Bill 11 out there, and we don't know what's going to happen with that, but right now in our reserve, we have it, and so if we commit to it, then we have to take it off the top and leave it for the library and then revisit what's in the reserve.
Great, thank you. Yes, I too want to applaud our library and our library board and our staff for rejigging and making it a project that is going to fulfill all the needs of the library in a more appropriate manner with the, at a cost that's reduced from the original ask. So thank you for all that work. I know it was a lot of extra work, but it would be great to see this get going within the next year. That will be terrific news for our residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. To the Director of Finance.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to update council that I did reach out to our grant funder. We still have a grant out there for about over $4 million that we requested. It was submitted in October of 2024, and it's still under review. So being under review is not a no. It's not a yes, but it's not a no. So it's still hopeful. So we'll keep you posted on that. So that's still another opportunity for us that there might be some grant funding. So that's what we're just keeping our fingers crossed.
Excellent. Thank you for that nice update. Thanks. As long as we're in the running, like you say, there's a chance. Thanks. Any other comments, questions? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are now on 11.2.4, Town of Pelham Road Construction Needs Update, and I have a motion put forth by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Hildebrandt. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2025-0133 for information, and that Council approve an additional amount of $150,000 for Project RD05 2025, which is the 2025 Road Base and Resurface Repair Program, and that Council approve an additional amount of $250,000 for RD07 2025, being the 2025 Road Rehabilitation Program, and that the additional costs be funded through the roads reserved. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And before I go to council, I'll go to Director of Public Works. It seems that the money we freed up a couple of months ago indeed is being used to good measure on area roads. Any comments on that work is now done, I believe, by this report?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, just for clarification, when we came with a report back in the springtime regarding Foss Road, council approved an upset limit of $508,000 to complete those emergency works. That was tendered, through the quotation process, through our procurement process. That was awarded to a contractor. We completed that work for $430,000. So it did come under what the estimate was from staff at that time. So that work is completed. I think it was done by mid-April. So that work was done. We also have a 3-year contract that we have for our road patching program. So we were able to act on that very quickly and get that contractor mobilized to do the work. That budget is $300,000 that council approved as part of the capital program. So we've spent everything in that budget now. That's complete with the patching we did. I think we just shy of 6,000 square meters of patching work. Through road inspections and our engineering team out having a look at the roads, we estimate that we probably need to spend, well, we need to rehabilitate and patch another 2,500 square meters of road surface. So that's where we're asking for the additional $150,000 budget for that program specifically. And then as part of that report that came in the spring as well, we had identified some roads that really required some TLC, and one of those being Sawmill Road, the other being Chandler, I believe. We feel, based on the inspections, that Sawmill is in fairly bad shape and should be addressed through our road rehab program. The budget that's approved, that council approved, was for $1.25 million for that program. We have tendered that out, excluding Sawmill. That wasn't part of the original tender package. The project did come in $25,000 under budget. So we do have a little bit of cushion built into that program as well. But our ask for the $250,000 for Sawmill is to do that section of road as part of that program, which I think is scheduled, the contractor's scheduled to start that program, I think, in the next week or two.
Excellent. And of course, Sawmill being a major artery east-west, for the north part of the town, for sure. Okay, any comments on this report? Obviously, there's also the ask, and then those alternatives 1, 2, and 3. Any comments? Myself, I'm all for taking money from the reserves and doing the job as requested by staff. Any comments from any other members of Council? Bernarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I've been very quiet over here, so I just thought I better say something. But I appreciate this report, and I have received several complaints from staff in North Pelham about Sawmill Road, and I appreciate the efforts that the town has put in to do some patching after the thaw, and that did appease some of the complaints that I had, but knowing that there's more work to do, so I definitely support getting this done and appreciate it being brought forward.
It's incredible when you go on Sawmill Road how many of those patches there are. Yeah, the guys have put a lot of hours down there, that's for sure. Excellent. Any other comments, Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, it was interesting when I saw this, because Sawmill Road popped up, and I decided to go back through my mail that I received. And interestingly, there was a series of complaints 2 years ago about tanker trucks, high volumes of tanker trucks using Sawmill Road because there was work going on in Lincoln. And they were bypassing, and they weren't going to 16 Road. They were actually taking the Sawmill Road short circuit. So this is a classic example of when you suddenly put very heavy vehicles on a road. It's not just from the winter, it's the relentless pounding of excessive traffic that accumulates over time. So it was one of those things like, why does that stick in my mind? So yeah, I'm fully supportive of doing it and doing it correctly. I mean, a lot of our roads were paved without proper preps. I mean, when you really think about it, and this is just where we're going. So I think it's a good idea, and I support Councillor Bernarski's comments. Same thing. It's nice to see something going. Yep. Habitually filling potholes is not the right answer.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councilman Nesner?
Yes, thank you. And any chance that road could get lined? Currently, it's unlined as far as I know. So, especially out front of Sawmill Golf Course, it's really tricky there because that driveway into Sawmill Golf Course is on the hill. And so you have to really make sure you're on the right side of the road before you turn, because there has been one accident there, I know, last year. But is that where the work's going to taken place, or it's up further towards Chandler? Wessel to Chandler. I'm just trying to think where Chandler is in regards to Sawmill Road or Sawmill Golf Course.
Chandler's way on the south side of the town.
Or what? It's between Wessel and where? Sorry.
Oh, Cream Street.
Cream. Oh, okay.
Yes, Cream Street.
Okay. So actually, that's not going to be affected then? No.
Go to the Director of Public Works.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we normally don't provide line marking on our rural roads, but there's nothing to say that we can't do that. So we'll take a look at it through our operations department. We've got a line painting contract that we let out annually. And usually rural roads aren't part of that itemized list, but there's, if there's concerns or that come up, safety concerns, then we'll look at addressing those as part of that program. But
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Yeah,
Any
thank
other
you.
comments?
Nope, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on this agenda item? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Yep. And I see none opposed. Motion carries. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 14, and I have a motion put forth by Councillor Brunarski, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham having given due consideration to the following, now read a first, second, and third time and do pass same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. 131-2025 being a bylaw to amend Town of Pelham bylaw numbers 68 and 69, 2023, respecting the AMPS parking and non-parking process, and to replace Schedule C being the appointment of screening officers and hearing officers, and 32, 2025 being a bylaw to appoint Jody LeGros as a deputy clerk for the Town of Pelham. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on either one of those bylaws? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we move on, I do understand that Deputy Mayor Eckert has a notice of motion to present.
We can go to Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Thank you, Madam Clerk and Mr. Mayor. At the recent Pelham Active Transportation Committee, we had a lengthy discussion about speeds in the town. And one of the motions that we put forward, and I would like to, I'll work with the Clerk's Department to draft a motion for either the next meeting or the meeting after that. But it has to do with two areas. One is the multiple changes in speed limits in a very short space. And we're looking at the possibility of looking at standardizing the speed limits, which then nicely dovetails into the fact that we're looking at reducing speed limits in, for lack of a better term, the town of Fenwick and the town of Font Hill on the side streets. This is been done in many municipalities, including St. Catharines. It's quite effective, and so I would be making a motion at the earliest meeting possible, and I would be requiring a seconder, and we get a report from staff on the possibility of doing this and what the associated cost may very well be.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. We look forward to the motion when it appears before council. Thank you. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item 16, resolution to move in camera. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Rink, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider the following under Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. As follows: B, personal matters about an identifiable individual. D, labor relations or employee negotiations, being one item, consideration of appointments to advisory committees. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. And E, litigation or potential litigation involving matters before, including matters before an administrative tribunal. One item, cannabis. And B, personal matters about an identifiable individual. And F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, being one item, contract services. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Call the vote for going in camera. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries. We only need a minute to prepare it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.